All right, so OCC is this weekend. I should say, welcome to the channel. Thanks for being here. OCC Top 8 is this weekend. Deck lists are published. And Yet It Moves, who a player I admire. I saw his Soviet British Control list. Not necessarily sure this is a ladder deck. Not a big fan of Control on ladder if that's what you're doing. Games typically take a long time. You want to get as many games in it as you can. There was a game I played earlier today that was like 25 minutes or so, which was a little unusual, but games typically go much longer. But let's take a look at the deck and see what's in there. We'll run a game and see what we have. So let's look at the credit curve. Heavy fives, not a whole lot going on 1 through 4 except for orders. So when you see this, when you see something like that, as most control decks are, advanced players know this stuff already, but for those that are newer to the game, this might help you. Control decks really want to play defense in their early stages, because when you're playing the control deck, you're looking at, you have to be technically perfect as you can. You have to know the decks, the other decks that you're playing against, what the best lines of play are, what's a threat, what's not a threat. So there's a lot of knowledge needed to play the deck well, or to play any control deck well. Doesn't mean you can't play it, but if you're playing it well, you really have to know what the opponents are up to. So in the early turns, we have Snowstorm, not playing that on 1. Obviously, it's just if something gets too aggressive, U.S. Frontline, Jaguar, whatever, you can take a Snowstorm to buy you a turn. It's basically a fog. Winter Warfare, all 3. I've seen a lot of decks run 2. I've always liked 3. He's running 3. Observer Corps to lower the credit cost on some of your higher drops, which we'll get to in a minute. 329th to gain some life. I-15, some early play can get a few things done. It's not, critical or essential. Special reinforcements, when you're playing control, the damage that you are dealing has got to be done with certainty and intentionality. 272nd, for me, the way I approach it, maybe And Yet It Moves plays it different. To me, 272nd is extremely important. You've got one of those, obviously it's an elite, and I try to pair it with special reinforcements as much as possible, so you can get 3 of those, plus the tank that it generates. There's going to be occasions you're using special reinforcements on Glamour Boys because you need the health, but if I can help it, if I can play it correctly, I'm trying to pair special reinforcements with 272nd. I also try to do that on my turn. The reason being is, and opponents can think about this too, what you kill last is important when you're playing against Soviets. So if they're playing special reinforcements, you don't want the last thing that you kill to be a 272nd. You want the last thing killed to be a token or something like that, because then they can't get that. So I'd rather be proactive with my 272nd. So if I'm attacking into something, it's going to be the last thing, the last card used, and then I'll play special reinforcements on that turn to guarantee that I get that copy back. There is supply shortage, 2 of those, plus 3 Winter Warfares, so that's kind of, we're at 5 mass spells, mass damage spells. Only 2 copies of MONSOON ROT and 1 copy of Depths of Winter. So you have 3 AoE effects plus 5, so you have 8 to pair together. Where it's lacking is targeted removal. You've got a hammer. You've got 1 copy of hammer, 52k, which may or may not be useful depending on what you're playing against. There's a lot of ramp in the meta, some flyers, so it can be pretty beneficial. BM-13N, artillery, good card. 1 fortification. 2 buy the swords for card draw, plus a 5-year plan, so you can draw some cards. 5-year plan is a great card. It's one of my favorite cards to play. He's got enough life gain in the deck that it's not gonna hurt that bad. 39th, excellent card. It's always great to seal. No partisans in this deck, right? Most Soviet decks you'll see partisans, but it's not in here. Glamour Boys, 4 copies of. KORSUN, guard. Could be spot removal. Usually is. Another guard. KV-1, getting some extra damage in. 272nd is the finisher I'd like to use. Again, the games typically go long. Your lines of play have to be on point. Don't misplay. Kittyhawk is... Actually, I like Kittyhawk quite a bit. You're just chipping away at the HQ, right? Playing defense, trying to finish late with 272nd. Anyway, let's get a game in and see what happens. Hello. Playing And Yet It Moves. Soviet brick control. See what we have. We're going to have to play really well. So expect a lot of mistakes. We've got some defense, some early plays. The deck does much better in the later game, we hope. That's the way I interpret it anyway. So we just have to be patient. Let things come to us. It's just which version. There might be if he's on an OTK deck, it might be in our favor actually, because there's so many guards in the deck and they have limited ways. So yeah, I don't really know what we're playing against with when he played 980. The way I typically play, I've had a couple games with this so far. That is a very early naval supply run. And that's pretty good. So we can take that. I think we certainly will. We'll fire into it. If he attacks it, we'll just get it back to hand. But that's just really, I don't know. It's not a great play, in my opinion, to go that early on naval supply. I was kind of hoping he would attack that. But that's all right. Just being patient. It's a good turn for us. We'll go ahead and guard up now. I really don't want to move that guard though. I think I might have misplayed here, but my thought process is he's probably on an OTK deck, but I don't know for sure. He might just be playing just normal fighter stuff. We can certainly get some damage in. And I think I will Depths of Winter now which could be a mistake if he has the fighter. Or do I just supply shortage now? Yeah, I really just don't want to. I don't want to lose that guard if he's on OTK. So we'll just let his fighters and stuff try to trade into what we've got going on. We'll see if it's the right plan. Yeah. I've been needing some glamour boys here pretty soon. Hi. There we go. Wasn't really the game I thought I'd be playing against. I mean, he had an honor, so I think he's OTKing somewhere. So we're just planning on guarding up and doing it. But that's a faster game than normal. Usually on the control decks, they take quite some time, but just be patient. Try to run him out of cards. He only had 2 cards left. That's a little difficult to do in this meta right now. But anyway, have fun with the deck. Take care. Stay safe and be well.